Hello and welcome to Herbie's, your office, your business.
That's right, Mark.
Yes. And thanks for your time.
Pleasure.
As we've forewarned you, there are some questions about strategies.
Yes.
And if we go back to the start of Herbie's here on the coast, are there, when you think back, are there strategies that you put in place there that you say, look back now and say, yeah, that was the right thing to do?
Most definitely.
We need to talk about a couple of those.
Absolutely. I think every business has got to have clearly defined strategies, and one of the most important things is that you have to stick to them. I think the biggest risk that businesses often face is that while there's an element of flexibility that's always required in being able to react to different situations, if you don't have a clearly defined strategic direction and then stick to it, you can also lose your way. And so I think that that's extremely important. Probably almost the most important thing to start off with. So
what was your key direction there?
We had three key elements to our strategy. The first one was range. So we're in the specialty herb and spice business. I've worked with spices all my life. I know them pretty well. And so we thought, well, what we've really got to do is have the largest range of culinary herbs and spices in the Southern Hemisphere. So no matter what you want, so if you live in Darwin and you pick up a Gourmet Traveller magazine and you see that there's a recipe that requires a natto seed, all I've got to do is go to Herbie's and I can get it. So have a range that people can get via mail order or coming to our shop. Then the other thing that we felt was very important was quality. Now, quality is difficult because it's a very subjective issue. Everyone who I've come across anywhere in the world selling anything, including a Persian carpet trader, will tell you that theirs is the best quality. So how do you reinforce quality? Of course, once customers experience quality, then they become loyalists. But in order for them to appreciate quality, you have to educate them. And so we also felt a very important part of our business was education. Demystifying the world of spices, helping people to understand them. That's why I've written books on spices, and I've done as much as I can to communicate about spices. We do spice appreciation classes at our retail outlet in Sydney. So range, quality, advice, they're the key elements to our strategy. And essentially we stick to that, and we stick to herbs and spices. So, you know, in the early days we had people coming to us saying, oh, you know, you ought to sell rices and dal, and you ought to sell pastes, and you should, all sorts of things people said, you know, you should sell. We thought, well, hang on, we're herb and spice experts. We're not experts on rice or dal. We can't tell you what's the best type. We can't tell you what's the best cooking oil, so we won't stock it. So because we've been completely focused, I think that's worked well for us.
Okay, that's extraordinary. And that quality definition, I've read some notes about no fillers.
Absolutely, yeah. Completely 100% natural. First of all, with spices, they're agricultural commodities. So where they come from, how they're harvested, the post-harvest handling, the storage, the transportation, the way they're ground, the way they're blended. There's a whole series of elements that go together towards making quality. And so one of the things that we are very focused on is managing all of those elements, but in addition to that, being very single-minded about never using anything artificial. So we make about 90 different spice blends.
And there would be attempt, or others use additives or whatever to extend, I guess, and make the product cheaper?
You're dealing with a valuable commodity. So you make a spice blend. How do you reduce the cost? A, you use higher ratios of lower cost ingredients. Secondly, you add starches and fillers to pad them out. Thirdly, you use more salt than is necessary because salt is the dry food manufacturer's answer to water.
They're all the things you don't add, so I think that's...
So what we do is we focus on what makes the best product. The other interesting thing that we do, which a lot of people are not aware of, when we develop a spice blend, the very last thing we do is cost it. When most people are producing a product, all along the way you're costing it, and you're working out what is the cost ratio, what's this product going to sell for. We develop the product to the stage that we are absolutely happy with it, then we cost it. And if that means a packet sells for $3.20 or $5.60 or $9, that's the price it sells for, because we don't compromise at all. And I think that's something that I know in the specialty market you have the luxury of being able to do. You can't do it with fast moving consumer goods where you've got huge competition, but in the specialty market you can do that, because what happens is people do notice the difference. And that was our biggest concern when we started this business. Will people know? You know, we know the products are good and we know a good spice, but will the person out there who's cooking? And they do, and we've had so much feedback to reinforce that, which is very encouraging.
And your history with MasterChef obviously is an endorsement in itself, that they chose you guys.
That's right.
Early on.
Yes, okay. They chose us above all, and have used our products continually. And it's interesting that many of the guest chefs and even the contestants have come back to us and said, "Oh, we love your spices. They've been so good to use."
I've got to say, there's another strategy that you've employed, which I love too, and it just comes through, and that is your passion for this. You are not going to put something with Herbie's name on it that's not going to measure that passion. That's a cool thing. We won't go on about that.
Yeah.
Okay, last 12 months, GFC, world's change. Any strategies that or any decisions that have tested you in the last 12 months?
You've probably got testing decisions all the time that are minor ones, and we have been very fortunate, because with the GFC, although a number of retail areas were affected, it seems that the specialty food segment has never been stronger. And I think it's partly because people are maybe watching their pennies a little bit more, and so for that reason they're not spending as much money on the big luxury items, but they're giving themselves smaller luxuries. People are cocooning, they're tending to want to spend more time with family and friends. That involves entertaining involves food, and I think that's helped us as well. And in addition to that, you've also got the situation where there's just been this, you mentioned MasterChef, there's been this increased interest in food. Probably one of the most difficult challenges I had was, because of MasterChef, Coles supermarkets approached us and said that they wanted our products. And we said to them, "Sorry guys, we don't deal with supermarket chains. We only deal with the specialty food segment."
Do you know who you were talking to? Good for you.
And Coles said, "Well, look, name your own terms. You know, you can sell to as many stores as you want to. Tell us the range that you want, the price you want for it. You know, you write your own ticket. You know, do whatever you want." Yeah. And I said, "Well, thank you. I appreciate your faith. However, strategically, it's not the right place for us to be. It could have the potential to increase our volume enormously. It could help us to maybe double our business, more than that, treble our business, maybe within a 12-month period. However, A, strategically it's not where we want to be, and B, by developing that additional infrastructure, by growing the business too quickly, it puts a whole lot of other pressures on the business that I don't know whether we would be able to maintain. And our business, since we started it, has tended to grow what I would call organically. So our average growth rate is running at around about 15%. And on that basis, we can fund our expansion, we can manage what we're doing, and it's a good organic growth. And we're also not finding that we are disadvantaging our strong existing customer base by trying to chase new business and then letting stuff slip.
It's a great piece of learning, I think, when it comes to understanding that you can be too big or can be too broad, because that Coles the impact on Coles would basically throw your strategy, your core strategy of creating the product you want to sell and then pricing it. I don't think that's how Coles will always do their costings, just frankly. But
not in the long term. It might all start off very rosy at the beginning.
Very friendly, I'm sure. We won't go there.
We won't go
we
into
probably
that
all
one.
have friends that work in those businesses. To wrap it up, we hear about life, business, balance. Don't laugh. I'm sure you have it now, or you appear to have it now. How do you manage that? Is there a balance? Do you expect there to be a work-life balance?
Oh, there is, to a pretty fair degree, but I think part of the issue is that my work is my life and my life is my work.
And
So-
and Liz is part of that too.
And Liz is part
She
of
has a
that.
vital role
We've
here.
been married for 40 years. Through all of my career, Liz has been very much a part of that. And she is a partner in the business. She works with me. And when we established the business, we both allocated to each other very clearly defined areas of responsibility. And so it's really great that we've got this sort of, we handle different areas of the business and we're able to, you know, keep on top of everything in that way. But the whole life-work balance can be a difficult one. And I must say, I think women are probably a bit better at it than men. We were working constantly 6 days a week, and about 5 years ago, Liz said, well, I'm taking a 2-day weekend and I'm taking Mondays off. And so I said, well, I'm going to take Mondays off as well. Yeah. So I now have a 2-day weekend, which is Sunday and Monday. Right. And Liz and I both work in the shop in Sydney on Saturday, which is the busiest day of the week, which is great because it gives us communication with our public. But when it comes to this work-life balance, I suppose it's what you're comfortable with. It's nice to be able to spend time with the kids and the grandkids. And I think that has made us more aware of allocating time as well to family. But I think one of the difficult things is when you start a business, it's really everything. When we started Herbie's, we started with a retail shop in Sydney. We lived above the shop for the first 6 years. We got home to our home one night a week if we were lucky. We were working from dawn till after dark. That's what happens when you start a business.
I think there is a misconception though that you balance that life work thing from day one, but true balance, like you and Liz have got, it's only taken 40 years.
Yeah, it's right. It has to evolve. And the other thing is that...
and you listen to one another, and she's given you 2 days off, which is nice.
Which is fantastic. And the other element to doing that is very important is having really good staff who you can trust and who can look after things. So you've got to put trust in your staff, but if you've got really good people, we've got fabulous people in Sydney, we've got fantastic people up here, and really if it wasn't for them, then I don't know, it'd be a nightmare. But the fact that they are able to manage so well and look after our interests when we're not here is a real blessing. It's great.
I think that's another discussion about hiring good people. Good people hire good people, and but we won't steal some more of your time another time for that. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Pleasure talking to you, mate.
Okay.